Imagine this. You're a security analyst at a big financial company. It's a typical Tuesday. At 9 AM, you spot a weird phishing email during your regular threat hunting. It's clever, no spelling mistakes, perfect branding, and it's using a new kind of malware payload you've never seen before. Your tools catch it, you block the sender, clean up that one machine it landed on, and file a detailed internal report. Job done, right? You feel pretty good. You protected your company. But what you don't know is that your company was just the first test case. At 9:05, the same attack, slightly modified, hits another bank. Then at 9:15, a credit union. By lunchtime, that single clever attack you dealt with has snowballed into a sector-wide problem, locking up systems, causing services outage, and costing millions, all while your detailed report sits idle on your internal server. What if you could have warned them? What if, by sharing that unique file hash and sending the IP you discovered, you could have armed hundreds of other analysts to stop that threat in its tracks before it ever reached another inbox? That's not a hypothetical. It's the daily reality of cyber defense, and the solution is information sharing. Today, we're exploring the communities that make this possible. We'll break down what they are, how they work, the unspoken rules of engagement, and most importantly, how you can become a valuable member, contributing to the wider cybersecurity community. So let's start with a quick refresher. Cyber threat intelligence, or CTI, is not just data. It's analysed information about the motives, targets, and attack behaviours of threat actors. It's the difference between just blocking a single IP address and understanding why that IP address is malicious, who's behind it, what their goals are, and what they're likely to do next. It transforms raw data into defensive action your business can take. But intelligence that stays on one server or within one organization has a very short shelf life and limited value. The real power is unlocked when we share it. So why is this so crucial? Firstly, and most importantly, no one has the full picture. Think of the old parable of the blind man and the elephant. One touches the tusk and thinks it's a spear. Another touches the leg and thinks it's a tree trunk. Your organization sees only one part of an attack campaign, say a malicious file hash. Another organization in a different country may see the command and control server that malicious file is communicating with. And perhaps a third, take a government agency, might have intel on the threat group using that infrastructure. Separately, these are just interesting data points. But when you put these pieces together through information sharing, you get a complete actionable picture of the entire elephant. Secondly, it's about shifting from a reactive to proactive defense, sharing indicators of compromise, like domains, IPs, or file hashes, or even better yet, tactics, techniques, and procedures. Allow your peers to actively hunt for those threats in their own networks. You're giving them the ability to find an adversary who is already inside their walls, but hasn't struck yet. This is the essence of threat hunting, and it's almost impossible to do effectively without community-sourced intelligence. And finally, sometimes you're required to share. It's not just a good idea, it's a regulatory mandate that you must abide by. In critical sectors like finance, healthcare, or energy, regulators often mandate participation in sharing communities to ensure the stability and security of the entire industry. Compliance frameworks like PCI and HIPAA have sections that directly encourage this kind of collaborative defense. The attacker is one person or group against the world. Information sharing makes the defenders a global, united front. So you've sold on information sharing. But where do you do it? CTI communities generally fall into 4 main categories, each with its own rules, benefits and drawbacks. These are where you'll perform your information sharing. So let's break them down. First up, we have open source communities, or OSINT for short. This is where everyone starts, from students to seasoned experts. These are where you'll perform your information sharing. So let's break them down. First up, we have open source communities, or OSINT for short. This is where everyone starts, from students to seasoned experts. Open source intelligence is publicly available information anyone can get their hands on. This includes cybersecurity news sites like Bleeping Computer, research blogs like Krebs on Security, government alerts from agencies like CISA, and social media platforms like X or Mastodon, where researchers often share findings in real time. A key skill in OSINT is learning how to manage this fire hose of information. One of the best ways to do this is by creating your own CTI aggregator. So instead of having to visit dozens of websites every day, you can use an RSS reader like Feedly or InnoReader to pull all those sources into one centralized dashboard. Another fantastic free resource in the OSINT space is AlienVault OTX. Think of it as a global neighborhood watch for cybersecurity. It's a community-powered platform where anyone can share and consume threat data. You can find tactical intelligence, like IP addresses and file hashes, but also more operational intelligence through pulses that group indicators together to describe a specific threat campaign or actor. It's a great place to research an indicator you found and see what the global community knows about it. So let's take a look at some pros of open source intelligence. Well, it's free, instantly accessible, and vast. It's a fantastic way to learn what top researchers are talking about and get a broad, high-level overview of the global threat landscape. So what are some of the cons? Well, it can be incredibly noisy and there's no quality control. You have to sift through a lot of information and sometimes even misinformation to find what's credible, accurate, and relevant to your organization. The intelligence can also be less timely for defense, as by the time it's made public, the attackers may have already moved on. So what's the next type of sharing community? Well, that is the Information Sharing and Analysis Centers, or ISACs. Now we're getting more formal and structured. ISACs are non-profit organizations built to serve specific industry sectors because actionability is subjective. A threat targeting industrial control systems in the energy sector isn't necessarily relevant to the financial institution. This sector-specific focus is the superpower of ISACs. You'll find the FS ISAC for finance, H ISAC for healthcare, and ONG ISAC for oil and natural gas, among dozens more. Inside, they function like a private members-only club. You'll find secure bulletin boards, real-time chat channels, and specialized working groups focused on threats like APTs or ransomware specific to that sector. A huge driver for organizations to join is to benchmark their defenses against their competitors and understand the threats common to their industry. ISACs also tend to focus on sharing high-fidelity data. Instead of just sharing simple IOCs that you might find in OSINT, they often share observables with richer contextual data points defined in frameworks like STIX. This level of detail is far more descriptive and valuable for defenders. So let's take a look at some pros of ISACs. The intelligence is highly relevant and actionable because it comes from peers in your industry. They create a high trust environment governed by rules like the Traffic Light Protocol and NDAs. This encourages more open sharing. Plus, you get access to high quality, vetted intelligence and can benchmark your defenses against your competitors. So let's move to the cons of ISACs. There's usually a cost to join, and membership can require a minimum level of contribution, which can be a challenge for smaller security teams. Because they are sector specific, you might miss out on a cross-sector threat, so it shouldn't be your only intelligence source. Okay, Let's move on to vendor communities. If you use a commercial security product, you likely have access to a vendor community. Companies like CrowdStrike, Mandiant, Cisco Talos, and Recorded Future cultivate massive intelligence ecosystems. They operate on a global scale, collecting telemetry from their products, deployed on millions of machines all over the world. Their internal research teams then analyze this fire hose of data to spot emerging trends and campaigns to provide you with unique intelligence. Often the gateway to this intelligence is a threat intelligence platform, or TIP, that the vendor provides. The TIP isn't just a tool for consuming data, it's the foundation of the community itself. It acts as a central hub where customers can access the vendor's research, integrate threat feeds, and sometimes even share their own findings, creating a collaborative ecosystem around that platform. So what are some of the pros of these vendor communities? Well, the intelligence is highly structured, machine readable, and easy to integrate into your existing security tools via APIs. It's backed by a world-class professional research team, giving you access to expertise you may not have in-house. But what about the cons? Well, it requires you to be a customer of a product, so there's always cost involved. The intelligence may be focused on threats that their specific products can detect, which can cause potential blind spots if you don't use multiple sources. And finally, we have trusted or private groups. This is the most exclusive of circles. These are often small, informal communities of individual researchers and analysts who have built deep personal trust over years of interaction. They might communicate through a private Slack channel, a Signal group, or an encrypted email list. The vetting process is entirely based on reputation. However, a word of caution is essential here. Even these groups are not immune to infiltration. Threat actors have been known to try to gain access to these inner circles to gather intelligence on defenders. That's why it's crucial to ensure members are reputable and in some cases establish formal information sharing agreements, like non-disclosure agreements or NDAs, to protect any sensitive information you're sharing. So what are the pros of these small circles? Well, this is where the most sensitive, groundbreaking, and timely intelligence is often shared. Because it's a high-trust environment, many analysts are more willing to share early findings, half-formed theories, or discuss ongoing investigations that they wouldn't dare to mention in a public forum. This is where the bleeding edge intelligence is shared. But what about the cons of these smaller groups? Well, you typically can't just sign up. Access is strictly by invitation only, and the risk of infiltration by threat actors, while low, is real. You have to earn your way in by building a reputation as a credible, reliable, and helpful member of the broader security community. So, how do you get in on the action and join one of these groups? Well, it's a journey, and here's a roadmap you can use to get started. Step 1. Start with OSINT. This should be anyone's starting point. This is your foundation, and it's a non-negotiable. Before you can contribute valuable intelligence, or start paying for it, you need to become a skilled consumer of it and build a public presence that demonstrates your expertise. Follow the right people. This is more than just hit and follow. Curate your feeds on platforms like X or Mastodon by creating dedicated lists for malware researchers, threat hunters, and CTI analysts. Pay attention to the substance of their conversations. Who are they citing? What new tools or techniques are they debating? This passive intelligence gathering helps you understand community norms and spot emerging trends before they become headlines. Next, make sure you're reading everything. Make this a non-negotiable daily habit. Consuming a steady diet of security blogs, vendor reports, and news from sites like the Hacker News or Bleeping Computer builds your mental baseline. The more you understand what normal threat activity looks like, the faster you'll be able to recognize anomalies and novel TTPs. Next up, try starting a blog or GitHub. This could be your private or for your company. This is how you transition from a consumer to a producer. When you analyze a phishing kit or reverse engineer a malware sample, document your process meticulously. Share your findings on a personal blog, or publish any resulting artifacts like YARA rules, IOC lists, or analysis scripts on GitHub. This does two things. It proves you can do the work, and it shows you can communicate complex technical concepts clearly, a skill that is highly valued in every intelligence community. Alright, step 2, you need to find industry ISACs relevant to your business. If your organization isn't already a member, it's time for you to become an internal champion. Research the ISAC that serves your sector, then build a business case to present to your manager. Don't just say, we should join, frame it as a strategic investment in risk reduction. Explain how timely, sector-specific intelligence from peers could have prevented a specific past incident, or how it will help benchmark your security controls against your competitors. An ISAC is a powerful tool for understanding targeted threats and having a trusted network to call on during a crisis. That brings us to step 3, leverage your cybersecurity vendors. You're probably already paying for their security products and services, so make sure you're extracting every ounce of value from that relationship. Get engaged, actively participate in their webinars, read their threat intelligence reports, and join their community forums. This is a direct line to their experts and a great way to learn from other customers. Also, try scheduling briefings with your cybersecurity providers. Be proactive. Ask your account manager for a quarterly threat briefing with their CTI team. Come prepared with specific, hard questions relevant to your industry and threat model. Ask them about the TTPs they're seeing that target your specific subsector. This shows you're an engaged and knowledgeable partner, and you'll get a lot back from these discussions. Then, if you haven't already, try integrating and tuning their feeds. Work with your security engineering team to ensure your vendor's threat feed is properly integrated into your SIM, TIP, or SOAR platform. But don't just set it and forget it. Actively tune the feed to reduce false positives and ensure the indicators are truly actionable within your unique environment. And finally, step 4, you must network and build trust. This is the long game. Access to the most valuable communities is built on reputation, not on applications. Be an active, constructive, and helpful member of the communities you're already in. If you're in an ISAC, don't just lurk in the channels. Participate in the discussions. When you share an indicator, provide context. Why is it bad? What did you observe? A file hash with a story is 1,000 times more valuable than a file hash on its own. The principle is give to get. Also, try attending security conferences like Black Hat, DEF CON, or your local B-Sides events with a plan. Yes, see the talks? They're great. But the real value is in that hallway con. Make it a goal to meet 3 new people from outside your industry. Talk to speakers about their presentations. The real networking happens in these smaller, more personal interactions. Also, try to remain humble and credible. This is the golden rule when networking and building your reputation. Remember, your reputation is your most valuable asset. When you share intelligence, be precise and provide context. When you build on someone else's work, give them credit. And if you make a mistake, own it immediately, correct it publicly, and learn from it. People trust analysts who are careful, accurate, and intellectually honest. Over time, as you become a known and trusted voice in the community, those invitations to private groups will come naturally. Just keep working at it. Alright, let's bring it all home. We've learned that sharing threat intelligence is a force multiplier for defenders. It's not just a nice to have, it's a core component of any mature security program. It helps us see the full picture, build a proactive defense, and make the entire community more resilient. we've covered the 4 main types of communities, each with their unique role to play. We have the open source intelligence community. This is a public square where everyone can learn and start building a name for themselves. We have information sharing and analysis centers, or ISACs. These are industry-specific forums for highly relevant, trusted collaboration with your direct peers. Then we have vendor communities, the powerful ecosystems built around the tools you're already using. And finally, we have trusted groups, the invitation-only inner circles where reputation is everything, and you'll find the bleeding edge intelligence. Your journey into these communities is a marathon, not a sprint. It starts with being a curious and active participant in the open source world, then strategically leveraging the resources available through your employer, and most importantly, the human relationships you build along the way. Don't be an island. The threats we face are collaborative, persistent, and organized. We, the defenders, need to be too. The person you help today could be the one who warns you about tomorrow's attack. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this helpful, hit that like button and subscribe for more cyber threat intelligence content. Now, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below and let me know about the single most valuable piece of intelligence you've ever received from a sharing community. Stay safe, stay curious, and I'll see you in the next one.